Hello everybody. Thanks for joining. So my name is Edward, and the subject of today is the multi-tenancy, and I'm going to show you how at EDF we are maintaining high-level SLA in a multi-tenant cluster. Okay, just a summary. I'm gonna first talk about the EDF context, then I'm gonna explain a little bit the strategy we have in the IT department. Then I'm gonna describe all the challenges we had to take up last year, and then I'm gonna describe all the action plan we've applied. So first of all, about the EDF context, we are the world leader in low carbon energy, and what we do is that we produce, trade, and transport electricity. We have an annual revenue of 70 billion euros. We have 100,500 employees worldwide. We have 37 million clients. We spend a lot of money on research and development, and one very important thing: 88% of the electricity we produced is CO2 free. So the department in which I work is called the DSIT. It's the IT department, and what we do is that we provide IT services in order to support the group in its digital transformation. So a little bit of history regarding the big data infrastructures in the IT department. So we started in 2012 with the first cluster in Hadoop VM1. It was used for the trade directions. They wanted to do some cross-analyzing data. Okay, and so we started with a for recycle host. And then we had an exponential growth until today. So today we have a quite big infrastructure. We have 3 physical environments. We'll have a 4th one soon. I'm going to talk about it later. So we use DataWorks, the HTTP distribution, and also the HDF distribution. We have 200 hosts. We have 1.5 petabytes of storage, of usable storage on HDFS. We have 15 terabytes of RAM on Yarn. We have more than 4,000 vCores. We are a huge user of HBase. We have more than 8 terabytes of RAM on HBase. And when we have a really huge HBase table with a size of 90 terabytes, and that uses 8,000 regions. Okay. I'm going to describe the choice we've made in terms of architecture. So all our platforms are shared. Okay. And all the business units of the group comes on a shared infrastructure. Why we are doing this is in order to centralize the data to have an economic efficiency, and also to be able to share and do some cross-analyzing between the different businesses. And it also simplifies the way we operate the cluster. The less we have, the more efficiently we are. And so regarding the 3 platforms I talked about, so they are aligned to maturity of use cases. One is really for the development, one is for the production, and one for the disaster recovery. There will be a 4th one soon. We're gonna start building it in the next few weeks. It's really for the analytics part. What happens today is that most of our data scientists and data engineer work on the different platforms. The thing is, we really want to have high-level to maintain high-level SLA on the production, and that's why we really want to have no user access on the production and the backup platform. Okay, so we're about to build a new analytics platform, and what I really want for this platform is to be really open in terms of usage, in terms of software you can run on it, in terms of access for all the users, all the data engineer and data scientists. And so, of course, on this platform, the SLA will be a little less than on the production platform. So, how we are organized in the IT department for the big data? We have a service offer. Okay, we have a price catalog, which is business oriented, and we have very, very simple units of work, terabytes and VCORs. Okay. And then we maintain SLA on shared services on the clusters, HBase, HDFS, and Kafka, etc. Okay, and we also have a special organization, and we have specific processes, and it's really like self-oriented for the business units. Okay. And what you need to understand is that this design have also a strong impact on the performance and the infrastructure, on the performance of the infrastructure and also the applications. Okay. So what happened is that this offer found its public, and today we have 5 business directions working on our platform. We have 50 production applications. We have more than 10,000 production yard jobs per day. We have 2,500 HBase tables, 25,000 HBase regions, which is quite huge. We have more than 100.5 HBase database. We have more than 500 users. We have 24/7 applications, one application which is in high availability. And we have all really type of applications, okay, excuse me, like batch streaming, OLAP, OLTP. We have big volumes, small volumes, some critical use cases, non-critical use cases, and all this is on a shared multi-tenant environment. Okay, And so what really happened is that our infrastructure has become essential to our businesses. Okay, and so this is what happened last year, and so what we're thinking is that the offer, the way it was built, it was a little bit victim of its own success. What happened is that we had more and more critical use cases, business critical use cases, and we really had hard time maintaining the expected level of services. We had some instability, we had some inavailability, and this was really difficult to communicate. The fact is, the lower is 96%, so it's bad for an application, but I think it's not that bad. But so what I'm going to show you is that we then did diagnostics of what happened. It's divided in different parts. So the first one is the technical issues we had to face. So we really had to improve the way we were operating our big data infrastructures. Typically, we didn't have enough matrix, and what happened is that the monitoring didn't evolve as fast as our application use cases. Okay, diagnostics became more and more complex, and yeah, the sizing anticipation were really not accurate. Okay. What also happened is that some application developed some anti-patterns, and yeah, there was a bit of lack of rigor when we were putting an application in productions. Scale out and performance tests weren't always run, and we weren't doing any kind of code review. Okay. Another technical aspect is that the internal billing based on storage and CPU was really insufficient. It does not accurately reflect the cluster usage, and it doesn't encourage a virtuous use of the clusters. So what we need to do is to need a further technical, but especially production-oriented support. Okay, we needed help. We also had to work on the organizational issues. The fact that working with a self-service offer gives you a partial control of what runs on your infrastructures, and you don't have really a global visions of the cluster usage. The SLA weren't accurate enough in terms of there were no concept of degraded services, and so what happened is that the feeling between the business units and the IT team weren't simply equal. So we had to improve the production-oriented skill. The fact is also when you have shared infrastructures, you have some government challenge, and what could really happen when you have a multi-tenant cluster is that business use cases can impact each other. And you have to have an accurate resource allocation. It's really, really essential in order to according to the needs. And we also had to work on capacity planning. It wasn't sufficiently detailed, and it was really, really not easy to quantify the potential impact of business use cases. Okay, so really we needed more coordinations between teams. So just in hindsight, what happened? The fact is the cluster usage evolved. Before last summer, it was really an ETL usage. And then what happened last summer is that we had new use cases. We had an intensive new usage of HBase. We had new, really, really huge volumes, and at the same time, we had new critical use cases. And so what we realized that there was a lack of anticipation. The impact of those use cases weren't enough qualified. We ended with more than 1,000 region per region servers. The HDFS was saturated and the HBase collapsed. And so globally, what it means is that it's the compelling event for a change in the way we were doing things. I'll detail the technical points and then after the organizational ones. So we asked for support from the editor in order to diagnostic what was happening, in order to improve the way we were operating the infrastructure, in order to help us developing some matrix, some tooling, in order to adapt the skies in order to be able to scale. Okay, and yes, and it helped us to improve our skill globally in the different departments. Okay, we really had to work on our communication aspects also. We had to facilitate internal communications between team. What we're starting to do is like to write best practices, and what is really, really important is to share diagnostics between the different actors. Okay. A really important thing also, you have to facilitate the dialogue with your management. Simply to be able to make decisions. When I talk about decisions, I'm talking about investment decisions and about technical evolution decisions. Okay, that's really, really important also. We also had to work on resource isolation and resource sharing to have a little bit more fine management of yarn queues, to work on resource isolations in terms of node label, resource group, containerizations. and we're not using for the moment the quota, but we're thinking of using it globally in order to protect the to use protection mechanism. Okay, so what we've worked also, so globally we've worked on the configuration aspects, on the architecture aspects. I'm going to show you a few dashboards. This is for the service availability. So that's what we've developed, and this dashboard is shared for all the users. This is for a fine monitoring of edge-based tables. That's the famous one, the huge one. This is for, excuse me? Okay, I'm going too fast, sorry. I'm going to slow down. But we'll go back and further. So regarding monitoring, we also have, we are doing a fine monitoring of our edge-based region servers. So this dashboard and also the previous one was developed by the application ops, and globally all the users are using it. If you're in the business unit, in the application ops, or in the infrastructure team, we all use these dashboards. Okay, they are really shared, and sharing is an essential aspect. Okay, so this was the edge-based region servers. This was also for Kafka. We're starting to use more and more Kafka in order to orient the application to do some more streaming and more reactive platforms. Okay. This is one of the last monitoring tool we've developed. It's in order to monitor the edge-based replications. As I've described, we have several platforms, and so and especially for the disaster recovery one, we have to synchronize the data. So this is for the edge-based replication. This is for we use role shipping, and this is the evaluation of bad rows in time. And so that's really useful in order to be able to ensure if you have a disaster recovery plan, you'll be able to start. Okay. I'm going to talk about now the more than on the organizational aspects. First of all, communications. So that's the way we are organized between the business users, the application ops, and the IT team. And so globally, we had to work on our communications. What we've done is that we've built enterprise communities. We share templates, we share Git repository, and also we share feedback. From time to time, yeah, we organize, we share what we've done, we share what we see, and sharing is a really important aspect. And we improved cross-team communication. We share development guides, and we, like I've said, we've created shared metrics in terms of dashboard, health check, and application status, so that everyone who's working globally around the big data infrastructures are sharing the same, and in fact have the same level of information. Everybody has the same level. Okay, that's really important. We also worked on the management. What the fact is, we reorganized the application management. Now it's a centralized team. In this team, the objective of this team is to have a global vision of what runs and then all the jobs that are running in our clusters. We centralized the application logs, and this team develops a lot of tool in order to be able to monitor and to operate what runs on our clusters. It's really important. We also worked on capacity planning. As I said before, it wasn't sufficient, so we've set up an industrial capacity planning. We've defined the right metrics to predict. We've developed some tools, and we have regular meeting in order to anticipate well enough what we need to adapt. Okay. We are also thinking of changing the way we are doing the billing. It's not done for the moment, but I think we'll do it soon. The fact is, for the moment, we are thinking of using memory and CPU usage for HBase. We're thinking of one key can also be the number of regions used by the tables, and also maybe do some kind of markup for small files, because small files are really painful on our distributed clusters. Okay. What this all means is what you have to do is to manage expectations and anticipate requirements. And globally, it worked. So this is February, and so we are back at normal. We still have some episodic issues, but globally, the level of services is back to normal, and so all I've shared worked in the technical part, the organization part. It really worked, and now we are able to operate a multi-tenant cluster, and we are able to maintain high-level SLAs. On a multi-tenant cluster. So takeaways, just to be sure, if you have to remember a few things, that's the key points. First of all, service offer and multi-tenancy must be managed globally. That's really, really important. If you want things to run, if you want to have good level of SLA, that's really important. Another important aspect is communications and coordinations at all levels is essential. You have to communicate, you have to share, you have to have the same goal, and you have to share everything. You have to be transparent, and you have to be honest, and that's a key factor. And the last one is really get help. What I mean by get help is editor support, but not only. Inside your different teams, you have to be humble. You have to know your limits, and you have to go and share and ask questions between the different teams, and that's a way of thinking that is really, really important, and that's a key factor. The other thing, which is really, really important, when I mean get help, is staffing, and hiring smart people is really, really important. And that's it. So globally, that's a good hand. As a lot of the guys that are working and that lived what happened this last year are just right here. So I think we can thank them for all the jobs they've done. Thank you, guys.
I have one question. So in terms of physical data isolation between tenants,
Yeah.
so you have like shared platform across all business units, but how physically it is implemented, in terms of data, not in terms of yarn, resource management, but data, how it is related one from each other.
In terms of HDFS, you mean? How it's organized?
Yes.
Yeah, they have their access, and it's really business oriented. So each business directions really works in its environment and organizes its data in its environment. For the moment, I didn't talk a lot about it, but it's really more like a backend for production applications. Okay. What we're trying to do with the analytics platform is really build more data lake oriented platform. So then this one will be more organized and more organized in terms of data. Okay, that's it. Does it answer? Yeah.
Actually, question is about, do you define whole structure yourself and then grant, for example, some permissions to business units, or you allow them to define their own areas within your platform and isolate on that level?
No, they can organize the directories. Yeah, they're really free to organize the way they want. Yeah, it's really, for the moment, it's really open. It's yeah. Go ahead.
Do you have 3, or you're looking at a 4th cluster? Does that mean you duplicate your data 4 times?
The fact is, not all the we don't have the same data on each platforms. The production platforms has like 70 nodes, 70 worker nodes. The disaster recovery one has 55. So for the applications, we really want to have disaster recovery. And the development has like 35 nodes, so it's a little less. So what they do, they replicate data from one to another regarding the usage, etc. Yep.
Have you adopted security, especially Ranger and Kerberos?
Yeah, all the Kerberos is implemented on all the clusters, and we also use Ranger and low-level ACL also. The only thing we're not really using for the moment is SLAS. It's not that, but I think on the analytics platform, it will be really useful, to help business units to share data from one to another. Yeah. But in terms of security, it's data fast. Yeah.
Hello. Regarding the production environment, you don't give access to any end user to any Hive tables to do any queries. You will do that in the analytical platform?
For the moment, they have access.
Okay.
The fact is, we are building an analytics platform in order for them to migrate on the analytics platform. That's really what we want to do. For the moment, users can go on the development platform, the production platform, and also the backup platform. Okay.
And how does this affect your SLAs? Because you mentioned something about that in the beginning, I think.
I really don't hear you, sorry.
You mentioned something about the SLAs being impacted by the end users. So
yep.
How do you manage that?
For the moment, we try to use region server groups, etc. And we're thinking about quota. It's For the moment, it's the fact is that we monitor, so we are able to react quickly.
Okay.
That's the way we do it. So it's we've developed. I only showed you a few dashboards. We're really well equipped now.
You monitor a lot.
Yeah.
What's going on.
But the next step is really to sanctify the production. So everybody, no one with its own idea will soon be able to go on the production platform. It will be only development, well-developed applications. That's what we're going to do.
Hello. One of the problems we have is that we seem to quite often need a restart of HDFS or Yarn or something. And we're considering, or we've tried to introduce a maintenance window.
Yeah.
And to say to customers, hey, at this time on this day, there's a chance that we'll be doing a restart of something.
Mm-hmm.
But we haven't been able to get our customers to agree
Yep.
to a specific maintenance window. I wonder if you've been able to achieve that.
No, I would
No,
love,
you'd
but
also
we don't have any
Okay.
maintenance window. No.
Okay.
We really have 50 production applications, so we don't. Yeah, it's really, really difficult. But I would love to have, but it's not negotiable for the moment.
So
First of all, really thanks for a very nice presentation. Just wanted to ask a little bit about the infrastructure management. Do you guys also have like DevOps approaches and automation in the infrastructure?
Oh yes, so we have some for the infrastructure. Yes, we used an Apache project which is called Reba. We are a huge user of this, and so it's really easy for us to add a worker node. Everything is automated, key tabs, etc. It pops really yeah, really well equipped. For the DevOps part, what I'm trying to push is that our business units work more and more on DevOps. My idea behind this is I want them to go on the analytics platform to develop prototypes, then go to the development environment, and then go to the production environment. And I will be that to be like a workflow. That's what I'm pushing, but yeah, for our end users, not really. For ourselves, yes, we are really well equipped. Yeah.
One more question. How big is your team for managing the infrastructure and running the operations?
I didn't understand, sorry.
So how big is your team for managing the infrastructure and running the operations or the cluster?
So the team is like oriented on the infrastructure. I'd say operationally or with also the management.
So yeah, basically the development.
Like 10, let's say 10. Okay, let's say 10, but not all are technical. Okay, it's
What do you use for your metrics and SLAs? Like what technology and how do you capture all that and dashboards, etc.?
So we collect. Simply, it's yeah, we collect. We store on Solar, etc. And then we create dashboards. Yeah, we are a huge user of Solar and Elasticsearch. Yeah, we collect metrics. We centralize. We create dashboards. Yeah, that's the way we do it. We still have time, so feel free if you have questions.
It's less technical. You said that things have to be managed globally.
Yep.
And was it difficult? And we all face companies where all the data management is domain per domain, and they don't want to share. And on the other end, production is also have silos, either technical or by domain. So was it difficult? And do you have some hints about how to some key arguments that make them think globally?
Yeah, I think it was really difficult. Yes, what you need to do is to you have to share. You have to work on the human aspects. Everyone has to be honest, to be realistic, to consider each other, etc. It's it's work on the human part. So it's it's not simple, and so you have to communicate. You have to spend time with each other. It's this kind of aspect. It's the contrary of using a service offer. It's not you don't hide behind. Yes, you go, you share, you. It's it's.
Yeah,
and
yes,
it's
you
not
share. But what did you say?
The fact is, I wasn't there at the moment, so I can tell you how they did. But
okay, you don't remember something that was as an impact at some point in time.
Hi, my name is Matt Lemres. I'm one of the SCs from Hortonworks, and I participated in this because the issue at EDF is that there was a major communication break. A couple of things that were done to be able to manage these communications. First of all, is the sharing of metrics, being able to clearly define what the expectations were. Once that was done, is to get these metrics and to be able to share them across the different teams so that everybody agreed on something that could be analyzed and can be could be shared on without feeling. Once we got there, second thing that was important is to be able to get all the teams around the same table. I have to say the first couple of times was difficult and we really got into shouting matches. But once this was done, we got the business teams, the infrastructure team, the application management team to talk to each other, they were able to get a lot more interesting. It's easy to shout at each other, just easy by emails or just going through management, but it's a lot harder to do it once you're at the same table. In the end, it was very much human management more than the technical aspects, which allowed us to get all this across, because there was a little bit of give and take from everybody. And the point here is communication and sharing and being completely open about what you do is very important to being able to do this, because in a multi-tenant environment, everybody uses the same resources. So what one person does is going to affect the other. So you really need to be able to share all that between them and have strong metrics that you can always share so that everybody talks the same language.
First of all, thanks for sharing your experience with us. Quite interesting talk. I've got maybe 2.5 questions. One would be elaborating on what was furthermore said on patch management. So I would wonder how you actually deal with 50 applications when you want to do major patches. Second question, I would be interested in your DR concept, how you do that, and the half question on that is, what technology do you use in order to provide DR capability? Okay.
Regarding the upgrade, it's the subject of the moment. We are currently in 2.5.3, and we are planning to upgrade to 2.6.4 or maybe 2.6.5 this year. And the fact is, we are currently negotiating with the business units in order to know how they want to handle it. Do they want to do a rolling restart? Do they want to have a spare cluster in order to test and to be able to prepare the upgrade? It's not decided for the moment. Building a new cluster, it's very, very expensive. So it's quite difficult decisions. That's currently handled. I don't know how to them. So what were the other questions? It's so this, for the disaster recovery, we have for our part for the infrastructure, we have this CP for HDFS. Okay, sometimes with a snapshot and this CP, sometimes directly, and we have world shipping for HBase. And so what happens is it simply we split, and the applications part starts and simply do some tests and see if it works correctly. And we also have one application that is in high availability. So it's all the disaster recovery aspects is handled directly by the applications. Okay.
I think it's an important part to look at is that the applications have to think about these things during their development. There's a number of things that we can do that can be done on the infrastructure side, but a lot of stateful information and handoffs. A lot of these things still need to be maintained by the application. So it's something to keep in mind straight from the development phase.
Good morning. Thank you for the presentation. My question is more about the resource management. How do you accurately distribute the resource between the different applications? And in the context of internal billing, how can you predict in advance how many CPU or memory the specific project will use and how much they should pay for that?
Okay, the first one was about the human aspects of the team, that's it?
Yes.
Okay, so what we are doing is that we have dedicated persons for the infrastructure part. So they are able to do any kind of operations on the infrastructure. And the other technical guys in the team are oriented business, and they help business for their use case to come on our clusters. They help in developing the use cases, etc.
This is also a work in progress. The capacity planning has been something that's been a big issue working on. So what we've had to do is go a lot more into details of what
the different components each application use to be able to create metrics on each of them. And what we're starting to do is work with the different business units so that they can give us an advance notice of what's going on and have an idea of what they have so that we can plug all this into the metrics templates that we've developed, and being able to have an idea of what will be coming on so we can predict what we'll be having. It's works to a certain extent, still needs to get some work on, but I think that the most important part is being able to talk to each other so we have an idea of what's going on, and being able to have a deep enough analysis of the different tools and how they're going to be used so you can project that onto what you have on the cluster.
Yeah, well, it's really the shared aspects. What we do today is that our business units show us what they are building. They are sharing their code. They are sharing their Git repository, and they really explain us what they are doing. And we do the same in the infrastructure part. We share what we're thinking of, the evolution we want to make, etc. It's once again, it's just sharing information, sharing ideas, and especially it's working on ideas, not working on concepts, and it has to be from end to end according, or I don't know the word, but it has to fit simply.
Thank you.
Thank you guys. No more questions? Okay. Thank you again.